Welcome back to Briggs on Books, our international talk show. We've been talking to authors from all over the world today. Scotland, can you believe it? India, Tasmania, all over the place. We're getting a lot of worldwide attention, and we appreciate that. Our show is for authors, of course, so we can hear about their books, but also aspiring authors. We're hearing from more and more of them saying, ask them how they wrote their book and got it published, because it's hard to get across that finish line. So we like to bring in a lot of authors who have done it, written the book, got it published, got it out there, and survived. Our next guest, by the way, let me preface it by saying this, is we go through some things in life, and we think we're the only one going through that or has ever been through that. And that's why sometimes books are good, because other people have lived your life and maybe could help you move through it. Our next guest has done just that. Welcome Amberlie Johnson, who wrote a book, Addiction from the Other Side. And it's really something, isn't it, Amberlie, that a lot of people go through, and there's no roadmap for it.
That's correct. I think a lot of times that, like you said, we go through these things, and sometimes it's better when it's coming from just everyday people, like, this happened to me. Well, it probably happened to you too, or you know somebody that it's happened to. So books like this do help people find other ways to helping that or answering questions.
Yeah. Tell our viewers what it is that you went through.
So this is basically from about 10 years, 7 to 10 years ago, and basically it was just finding out that my husband had a horrible addiction to opiate medications. And the way I found out was finding him non-responsive next to me, basically dying in my arms completely, no color, flushed out, everything, and me saving his life. And once I was able to get him stable and got into the hospital and everything, that's when, the truth started to come out. And that's the only way we could save his life, by him telling the truth. And that's the hardest thing, I think, for addicts, is to tell the truth. And sometimes it's too late.
Now, can we clarify his status now? Are you still here?
Yes.
Yeah.
He is actually doing very well. And that's another reason why we did this book. Because I want people to realize, just because there's one bad thing in your life or something that you do wrong in life, there's still a way to take a negative into a positive. And you can still have a life.
So the first time you realized that your husband had a problem with drugs is when he literally died in your arms.
Exactly.
And looking back, was there hints that you felt you should have seen or known?
I think that for me personally, as much as I was seeing and kind of noticing different things like random leaving times and not coming home and things like that, and with my husband's job, he was always on the road. So I think that it was just, I just loved him. I figured, he loves me, I love him. He's going to tell me the truth. I mean, we're going to work through anything. And I think we're sometimes blind to that. Mm-hmm. And as much as people come and try to tell us those things, we still are blind to the situation at hand. And that's just because we love that person and we don't want to believe that that's the truth.
And my point is did you miss some stuff, or did some people try to tell you some stuff that you should be getting, and later you say, oh yeah, it makes sense now?
Yes. Yeah. And that's the thing, that's the whole reason why I wanted to write this book, because it's like, if I would have maybe taken a step back and really looked at what was going on, maybe we wouldn't have gotten that far. Maybe we would have. It's just trying to help people so they don't get there, because it's a very rough road after that.
And I guess that's the point I'm trying to get to, is that if people read your book, might it be a precautionary tale for them to maybe catch this a little earlier?
I think not only that, but I also think that it almost scares you in a sense, because you're like, you don't want to do it because it's so scary from what I completely wrote in there, so raw material about it, that it's almost like, why would I want to even go through that? Yeah. And it's hoping to change that.
And I guess my question is this book for the people in the beginning, before they catch it, during, or after, or all three? Who should be reading this?
Honestly, I think it's all three. I mean, I think that if you want to know, maybe you feel like something's going on and this can help you, that can help you in the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. especially like I've had actually a teenager, a sophomore, 15, read my book, and I really didn't know if it was going to work well with the teenagers, but she did read it, and the thing she said at the very end was like, I don't want to do drugs. And that to me feels like I'm getting there. I'm getting that message out there.
Wow. That had to be great as an author to hear that.
Yes, very much so.
Now, also, I said this last time, and I always say this, but I want to get this book. I have some people I want to give it to. Some people who are falling into bad habits, but some wives, some mothers, some sisters, brothers, cousins. Because for an addict, there's all these people around them that are affected.
Yes, I mean, there's tons of people telling you, even the people, that are just everyday life are like, you got to see this, but sometimes it's just so blind to you. And like I said, I would just rather try to do as much as I can so people don't have to go through that, and maybe they'll see that and maybe step up and speak about it. I think a lot of it is we don't want to talk about it, and we have to talk about things to make change.
By the way, the title is Addiction from the Other Side, and I want to put this tag up below that. Death is avoidable and life is possible.
Very much so.
Now, are you done writing? Do you have more books coming out?
I am actually starting on my second one. I'm kind of having the idea of addiction throughout the world and what is out there now. I've been doing a lot of research and noticing that kids are now stepping up the game. Every time something is out there for a long time, then we got to come up with something new.
Yep.
And what I'm seeing is emojis is the new way to try to sell or buy drugs. And that's really scary, especially because we have these kids younger and younger with these cell phones. So I kind of wanted to start another book with everything that's more up to date and kind of get some more information out there.
Funny you say that about the emojis, because I'm always like, where are all these drugs? I never see them being sold. I don't see them being used. And now you're saying as little hints as emojis say, hey, I got something available here.
Exactly. Wow. And that's really scary, because we have these kids getting younger and younger with these cell phones, and if you're not aware of it, like I wasn't aware of it until I got some research on it. And I'm like, that's why I want to write another book. Just like my first book, it gives you, it puts those thoughts in your head, like, hey, maybe I should be looking at this, or here's something suspicious. Here's
the cover again for that first book. And we talk about writing a lot and processes of writers. You went through the process of getting a book written and then published. It's a lot of steps, and just getting yourself and your mind organized just in the right way. It's going to go faster and smoother this time?
I do hope so.
You learned a lot, I would imagine.
I think generally once you do it the first time around, it's much easier, definitely the second time, with all the steps and the process and everything. So.
Yeah. Now, your book, your story has a good ending. Tell us about it.
So, even though with the cardiac arrest and then he had the stroke, because unfortunately addicts do relapse, but with great backing and support, he's able to at least function normally. He's walking and talking and, living his best life, which can be very possible. So he's doing great, and we're actually back in Indiana, closer to our family and friends, which is great now. But we did step away. Sometimes you have to move away from everything to make something better. And that's another thing that sometimes I want people to realize, like, even if you're an addict and everything and you're trying to get treatment or help, sometimes you have to leave that complete situation, like the entire city, to just be clear.
Yep. Well, you're inspiring that you did it, you got through it, but then you were able to write about it and be helping other people through that. Thank you, Amberlie Johnson. Any last thoughts for our viewers? Anything else you want them to know?
Every book that is purchased is going towards a foundation that we're putting in my husband's name. That is something we decided to do. So none of the funds are necessarily coming to myself. We plan on doing that with the book. So that's just to let other people know that as well.
Very good. All right. Thank you, Amberlie, and we want to have you back because you're one of the most inspiring writers and guests we have. So
Okay.
thank you for your time, and for our viewers, stick around. We have another author coming up right after this. We'll be right back.
All right. Thank you.